Thomas Whitfield had seen the warrior woman 3 times before she finally spoke to him. The first time, she appeared at the edge of his wheat field like a mirage born from the Arizona heat, watching him work with eyes that seemed to see straight through to his bones. The second time, she stood silent at his market stall in town, studying the vegetables he'd grown with hands still dirt-stained from dawn labor. The third time, she followed him halfway home on the dusty road before vanishing into the scrub brush without a sound. Thomas was not a brave man. He'd come west not for adventure but for solitude, seeking land where his stuttering tongue and trembling hands wouldn't mark him as less than other men. At 28, he'd already accepted he would die alone on his small farm, and he'd made peace with it. Then came the fourth time. She walked straight through his broken fence gate as if she owned the land more than he ever could. She was tall, lean as drought-stripped wood, with black hair braided with feathers and leather cords. 3 scars ran parallel down her left cheek, deliberate, beautiful, terrifying. She wore traditional Apache dress mixed with practical trail clothes, and a rifle rested easy across her back. Thomas dropped his water bucket. "I want a child from you," she said in perfect English, her voice low and steady as river stone. The words hit him like a physical blow. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. His face burned red enough to rival the sunset. I don't, what? She took 3 steps closer. Thomas took 3 steps back, bumping into his porch rail. His heart hammered so loud he was certain she could hear it. "You are kind," she said, as if this explained everything. "I have watched you. You speak gently to your animals. You leave grain scattered for the birds, even when your harvest is small. When the Martinez boy stole from your stall, you let him run and left food in the place he hides. You are gentle in a world of hard men." Thomas shook his head frantically. "I'm nobody. I'm just. I can't even, people laugh at me. People are fools." She said it simply, factually. "I am Nate. My husband was killed 2 winters ago by soldiers who did not care that we had moved to reservation land, that we were peaceful. My son died with him. He was 4 years old." The grief in her voice was granite, ancient, immovable, worn smooth by time but no less heavy. Thomas felt his fear dissolve into something softer, more painful. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Nate nodded once, acknowledging his compassion. "I am the last of my family line. My mother was strong. My grandmother could outride any warrior and shot true even in darkness. My son would have carried their spirits forward, but—" She paused, her jaw tight. "I am 32 years old. Time runs like water through my fingers. I need a child before my body forgets how to make one. But why me? Because you are nothing like the men who took everything from me. Because you plant things and help them grow. Because you understand what it means to be gentle in your bones, not just in your words." She took another step forward. "I do not ask you to marry me. I do not ask for your name or your protection. I ask only for a child. One child, to carry forward the blood of my mothers. I will raise them in the Apache way. You will never have to see us again if you do not wish it." Thomas stared at her, this warrior woman who could probably kill him 12 different ways, standing in his yard asking for the one thing he never imagined anyone would want from him. His stuttering, anxious, trembling self. "I would be a terrible father," he said quietly. "I can barely talk to people. I shake when I'm nervous. I'm afraid of almost everything." "But you are not cruel," Nate said. "You are not violent. You are not a man who takes without asking. These are the things that matter." Thomas felt something crack open inside his chest, some sealed room where he'd locked away every dream of mattering to someone, of being chosen, of being seen as anything other than broken. "If I said yes," he spoke slowly, carefully, "I would want to know the child. Not to own them. Not to take them from you. But to know them. To help if you needed it. To be. He struggled for the word. Present. For the first time, Nature's stern expression softened. Almost smiled. Then you are even better than I thought. The child, a daughter, was born the following spring in Nature's camp, delivered by women who sang in a language Thomas was learning, slowly, painfully, with Nature's patient teaching through the long winter. They named her Kiona, meaning, brown hills, because she was born as the earth came back to life. Thomas saw her for the first time when she was 3 days old, and the fierce love that struck him was more terrifying than anything he'd ever known. This tiny creature, with Nature's dark eyes and a dusting of black hair, lung strong and perfect. She has your hands, Nate said, and Thomas looked down at his daughter's tiny fingers, long and delicate, made for growing things. The arrangement they'd agreed upon dissolved naturally into something neither had planned. Thomas couldn't stay away. He brought supplies, helped build structures in the camp, learned Apache customs with the dedication of a man learning to speak to his own heart. Nate, in turn, began spending time at the farm, teaching Kiona to walk between two worlds, to know the songs of her ancestors and the feeling of dirt under fingernails as seeds went into earth. When Kiona was 2, she toddled to Thomas and called him Papa for the first time. He wept. When she was 4, she stood exactly where her mother had stood that first evening and declared, "You should marry Mama. She loves you but is too proud to say it." She'd even mimicked his stutter, not from cruelty, but because she'd heard Nate tell her it was the sound of his thoughtful mind working faster than his mouth could follow. Thomas looked at Nate. Nate looked at Thomas. "Our daughter," Nate said slowly, "is too clever for her own good." "Takes after her mother," Thomas replied. They married that autumn in a ceremony that blended both their traditions, officiated by a Mexican priest who didn't ask too many questions and an Apache elder who asked exactly the right ones. Years later, when Kiona was 12 and already tall as her mother, already sharp as her father, she asked Thomas, "Papa, were you scared when Mama first asked for me?" Thomas, gray-threaded now but steadier than he'd ever been, considered the question with his characteristic care. "Terrified," he admitted. "But your mother taught me something important. She taught me that being brave isn't about not being afraid. It's about being afraid and still choosing to plant something beautiful anyway. Still choosing to grow." Kiona smiled, her mother's warrior smile softened by her father's gentle eyes. "That's what you both did. You planted a family." "We did," Thomas agreed, watching Nate walk toward them through their shared fields, strong and steady as the day she'd first appeared. "And it's the most beautiful thing I've ever grown." Behind them, the Arizona sun set red and gold over land that had seen too much violence, too much loss. But here, in this small corner, 3 people had chosen something different. They'd chosen to reach across divides of fear and culture and pain. They'd chosen to plant seeds of hope in difficult soil. They'd chosen, against all odds, to grow something that mattered. And that, Thomas thought, as his wife took his hand and his daughter ran ahead toward home, was the truest courage of all.